All right, John, we're going to go ahead and get started here. We've got a lot of people joining us, and we appreciate that. And as always, we want to hop in here with our disclaimer, particularly since we have the general with us there with that. So once again, this is our Zoom call for August the 20th of 2022. And as Hippocrates said some 2,500 years ago, let food be thy medicine. Simply the most important food you can use is Immunical and Immunical Platinum, as well as our other great products. However, we want to put the disclaimer here: the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed belong solely to the authors or the presenters and not necessarily to any brand, company, group, or other individual. The opinions expressed by the presenters are not meant to represent medical advice or serve as a recommendation for the treatment of mitigation or prevention of any disease process. We would like to inform everyone that these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Products mentioned are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your physician and other healthcare professional regarding any health-related treatment or options. Now that we've got that covered, one more quick thing. Everybody on the call so far meets the qualification. Immunical is the most unique nutritional supplement on the planet. And that is the fact that it only works on smart people, and that is all of you. So to that point, we want to turn the call over to my good friend, Mr. John Solleder, and grab your notebook, grab your pen, grab your thinking cap. Things are going to fly.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. I know it's Saturday. I know it's August. I know, kids are getting back to school. My son started college last week. I really feel old. My daughter starts her last year of high school on Monday. It makes me doubly feel old. But my sister's on the call who's older than I am, so it really makes her feel old. Anyway, having said that, here we go. Listen, our first guest today is a remarkable woman. She has been part of Immunotech from day one. She had the vision early on to see that this was going to be not only a unique selling proposition in terms of a product that we all take and consume and understand and take on a daily basis, but also a business opportunity for her and her husband, Carl, and her then young sons who are not so young anymore themselves. I'm glad to tell you that I watched them all grow up into fine young men, and a couple of them get married, and one in the process of having his first baby and everything else. So let me introduce my good friend, Sandi Walper. Sandi, welcome to the call.
Hey, everyone. How are you? Pretty exciting times going on at Immunotech, and yeah, it's been a long journey. 26 years. It's gone by so fast, John. I can hardly believe it.
Well, what did you see early on in this company that was different, perhaps, than other networking opportunities or other business opportunities? Because you and Carl are business people. You've been self-employed your whole lives. What did you see here, as opposed to, perhaps other things going back 26 years?
Well, I mean, I got a fax at the farm, quite honestly, from Mr. Roberts, who recently passed away. I got a fax and it was talking about glutathione. And of course, I didn't have a clue what glutathione was, but it said glutathione. And it said that, 300 to 500 liters of raw milk make 1 kilogram of this Immunical stuff. And at the time, it went right over my head, John. I thought that Chuck wanted milk from our dairy herd, but we didn't have a dairy herd. We actually had a beef herd. And so, but one thing that did catch my eyes in that fact, in fact, Carl pointed it out to me, is that in the experiments that they were doing, that rats and mice were living 30 to 50% longer. And usually rats and mice have a life cycle. And because I have a farming background, I knew that. And so when you tell me that something is living not 0 to 30, but 30 to 50% longer, that's quite a statement. And that's what caught my eye. And then when we really looked into the company and flew to Montreal, and having the opportunity at the time to be ahead of the curve, ahead of the launch, ahead of the fact that we actually got to meet Dr. Bunos and pick his brain, and John Molson was there that day, and Chuck was there that day, and there was a lot of factors, that they explained to us about Dieter, and the whole 22 years of research that had already gone into this product. So in network marketing, there's a lot of companies that launch because they got a product that they've either developed, it has no research, or it's, you know, the jungle juice of the century or whatever. This was a product way ahead of the company. So we had a product that had 22 years of science, and now all we had to do is go tell the story. And Immunical was, you know, way ahead with the science and research. In fact, we had method of use patents on the product at that time. And we just needed to put a team of like-minded people together and get our head wrapped around how to tell the story of Immunical. And from day one, I mean, from day one, the company has always been there. They've never not stayed true to their word about keeping ongoing science and research there. We've never not been able to get a hold of John Molson. We've never not been able to ask questions. And now, you know, here we are today. You know, I'm 26 years into this gig. And I got to tell you that there's a lot of choices out there for people. There's network marketing companies over the last 26 years that have come and gone. But there's never been, and honestly, Dr. Bunos told me this. He said, Sandi, I hope this product bridges the way between traditional and alternative medicine. I hope it's a bridge, a gap, that it can fill that gap. And I said, wow, that's really an incredible thing to say. But I believe Immunical is doing just that. I mean, and we've all seen that, you know, through the whole COVID last 2 years, that people that their immune systems were strong, and it bridged the gap for both the vaccinated and unvaccinated people. It didn't care which way you decided to go. It just gave you that little bit of extra strength if you decided not to get the vaccine. But if you were vaxxed, it also gave you that little bit of protection. And I really love that it bridges the gap and does all these things. And, you know, it's been an incredible journey for 26 years. There's not very many people that can actually wake up every morning, even in a day job, like a bank job or any other kind of job that you do, that you can literally plant your feet on the ground and you can say, wow, I own my life. I own my business. What happens in this business is up to me. And for 26 years, I've kind of paved my own journey with my family. And it's been really rewarding. And I've met so many. I guess if I have to take away one thing that I'll never, ever, ever forget about Immunitech is the people I've met and the relationships that I've made and retained all these years with people from all over the globe, and the fact that we're all like-minded, that we all want to make a difference in people's lives. And that really is truly joyful to me, because the Immunitech family, people all over the globe, want to tell the story, want to make a difference. And at the same time, John, if you tell the story and you make a difference and you keep telling people about Immunical, the money comes. And so you can build an incredible business for a very little amount of money. I mean, what kind of business can you build for like $700 and turn it into a multi-million-dollar empire if you choose? That's a choice. You know, and focus on it. If you just want a few customers and get it for free, you can do that. But I'll tell you, this journey that I've been on with a lot of you, with you, John, and with Jim Spencer and Dean and Jean, I see you guys on there, Hooper, John Molson. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm so ever grateful. And so now I'm going to introduce my buddy, John, because I want him to say a few words. John wrote a book. And I don't know if everybody on the call has read this book. It's called Leave Nothing to Chance. And I have read a lot of books in the industry. I mean, there's thousands of network marketing, motivational books, personal development books. There's every kind of book you can think about, chicken soup for the soul, who knows what all. But I have to tell you, and this isn't just because John's my friend. I actually call him my network marketing husband. But it's because the book is the truth. And I love the truth. And I love the truth of the industry. And I had to learn network marketing from the grassroots. I had no clue how to do it. And this book is the most amazing book because it gives real people an opportunity to look at and learn how. It's the learn how to do. Learn how to be a network marketer and do it the proper way, not with all this stuff that's not attainable. It's a grassroots network marketing book. And John, I love the book. That's the only book I use. And everybody knows that's on this call. John Solleder is the legend of all legends out there. He's my best friend. And he's a good guy. So on top of it all off, he's a good dad. He's a good husband. And he's just a really good friend, John. And thank you for being my friend. I'm going to welcome John Solleder.
Well, Sandi, thank you for all of that. And, I got to ask you, though. You watched the video earlier this morning, the new video on our Immunical Sport product. What do you think?
I thought it was fantastic, John, actually. I love the video. I love the fact that now, people that maybe aren't as educated in sports or athleticism, I really think this is a good video that people are going to be able to take out into their communities and get these coaches and sports-minded people right at the high school level. I really think it's going to open some eyes and give distributors a really good chance to how to explain this and for, see their testimonies that it's real, that this athlete is taking the product. And here, I thought it was fabulous, actually.
Well, one other question, Sandi, and don't go yet, because after our next guest, you and I are going to introduce our good friend Jim Spencer. Okay, and he's just fixing his notes. He's battling with his computer. I can't imagine anybody else battling with technology today. My phone keeps deciding not to work. But anyway, Sandi, when you started, you and Carl lived on a farm. How many people in your community?
Well, 120 head of cows. My closest neighbor was 9 miles.
9 miles.
My closest neighbor. Now to go to town to get my Immunotech check, because they were mailed at that time, was a 60-mile round trip. So it was 29 miles to town. Then I had to drive a mile to the post office. And that was for anything, John. That was a quart of milk. That was to get anything. Town was 29 miles. But my closest neighbor was 9 miles, and I was on a party line phone, and there was 4 people on the line. So try to make an Immunotech and explain about cows and plug up the phone line. I wasn't too popular with the neighbors, but, we did it. And that's what I say to people, like all of this, like video, like this morning, and all the stuff that we have in our back office, and all the pamphlets and flyers and posters and sheets and everything else. It's kind of overwhelming to me when people say, well, we need something else. And I'm like, well, what else could you possibly need? Like, we got it all. Like we didn't even have a brochure. Like, ask John Molson. We didn't have nothing. And so I don't understand what all these people need when everything is just online. And all you got to do is show like some of the things like the CPS and the PDR. I mean, nutritional supplements don't get in those books. They have to be validated to get in those books. And your market, you guys, is this. This is what I tell everybody, and I've told everybody from day one. If you are breathing, literally, you need to take Immunical. Our bodies are under siege every day from everything, including the whole world is stressed out right now from everything that's happened in the last 2 to 3 years. And stress is one of the biggest depleters. So you don't have to be sick to take Immunical. You need to be healthy, stay healthy. And so that just gives you that extra support that you need. And so, if I can do this with no high school education, I didn't even graduate. I tell everybody I got an HDO. That's behind my name, Sandi Walper HDO. That stands for high school dropout. If I could do it, then you can do it. Because let me tell you, back in the years when I started 26 years ago, it was way harder than it is today to do. And the main thing is focus. And if you can focus on what you believe in, and if you believe that Dr. Bruno's belief was as strong as it was, and that John Molson and Jimmy Gutman were behind us 100% with coming in with their genius brains to give us the support we needed in order to achieve the goal of spreading this immunocal story around the planet, then you can only ever succeed at this business. There is nobody that can fail. If you fail, it's because of you. You're the failure, not the product, not the people behind it. It's whatever it is that you're telling the story. Maybe they're not rejecting you. Maybe they're rejecting the information that you're giving it to them. So maybe you just got to tell it in a different way. Because once they truly understand what we have here and what it is that we're trying to achieve, and that we're a global company and we're on a growth curve, then you yourself will achieve. And we have lots of room for everybody, John, whether they just want to take the product or build a business or share it with a loved one. I chose the route of a business, and I'll tell you, it's been incredible. I own my own life. I do what I want, when I want, how I want, whenever I want. So it's great. So I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, just in wrapping up, Sam, before we move on to our next speaker, okay, Sandi is a perfect illustration of that. When the mission is big enough, the facts don't matter. She didn't let being 9 miles from her nearest neighbor stop her. And keep in mind, 26 years ago, we didn't have all these technologies, an app we can send a video across the world in 4 seconds.
Didn't even have a cell phone.
That's right. And we didn't have any of that stuff. But, back then, a fax machine was a big deal if you had one in your home. But let me make that point a little stronger. I interview a lot of people on the Leaving Nothing to Chance podcast. And I interviewed Tom Schreider the other day. Some of you know Tom. Tom's a legend in the industry, 50-plus year contributor to the industry. And he lives over in Thailand now. And he was sharing with me that he had done a meeting in Indonesia. And that some of the people that came, it took them 10 days to get to this mountaintop retreat in Indonesia to hear him share about the business that he was participating in at that time. My friend Joe Garcia, Joe shared with me people in the Soviet Union that came to a meeting that he did in Siberia. Took them 2 days to get there. I did a meeting in Colombia when we first launched. A woman took a train for 30 hours to get there. And here's Sandi Walper with us today, nearest neighbor 9 miles down the road, built a network all over the world, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of dollars of income, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue she's contributed to Immunotech. So once again, don't let anything stop you from your dreams. Fall in love with your dreams, okay? Fall in love with the Immunotech dream. Fall in love with your dream, more importantly. Immunotech is a vehicle for your dream. Sandi, thanks so much. Stick around because you and I are going to both introduce Jim here in a few minutes. But hey, I got a real special treat here, and he's had a huge meeting in Los Angeles that's taking place right now with over 600 excited Immunotech distributors. But he stepped away to join us, and that is our executive vice president, my good friend. This is Sharif Sayed, and he's got a few things to share with us. Sharif, welcome to the call, buddy.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much. It's great to hear Sandi. It's great to be here. You're right. We are at one of our major events here in California, in Anaheim, right outside Los Angeles. It's absolutely incredible. So they're having a lot of fun. It is an all Spanish speaking event, but I think a lot of you know me by now. So I don't speak Spanish. I'm married to a Tejana, a Mexicana, but I still don't speak Spanish. But I can feel everything that they're sharing, the excitement, their belief. Sandi talked about focus, their focus. It's just been an amazing day and a half that we're going to finish today, and it'll be 2 days. But I'm happy to be here. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be at Immunotech. The last time I was on your Zoom-Tacular, Keith and John, I was new, I was new and eyes wide open, trying to figure out what is this all about. And I'm just like anybody else. I have to go through time to really understand what I have my hands on. From a selfish perspective, what I have my hands on, how I'm going to be able to empower these products in my family's life. And that takes time. You just don't do it overnight. And so one of the things that I've learned since my time being here, and John, you can stop me whenever you want to, ask whatever questions I'm just going to share, because obviously I'm at an event and I'm really excited right now. But what I've learned since the last time I was on a Zoom-Tacular was I've got to go through those, I'm a big believer of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I had to go through those hierarchies, those four major ones. There's many different ones, but the four like buckets of them, of functional, emotional, life-changing, social impact. I've had time to burn the roads with Sandi in Calgary and also in Ontario, outside of Windsor and Toronto. And I got to meet with Foster and Wally Krillick out there in Toronto as well. And every single time I get out on the road, right now I'm in California, I've been in other places as well. I've seen John in our hometown in Dallas. I go through some of these buckets of hierarchy of needs of how our products have fulfilled people and how they are better now than they were. And there's two main things that I've realized about this company that I think, not that I think, I know without a doubt that I can say, and it's probably the greatest compliments that I could give anything or anybody. And that is, people are better off with us than they were without us, whether that is with our products or our opportunity. I can say that without a doubt. And then the second thing is pretty massive. And that is that the more I see, the more I hear, the more people I learn, the better this looks to me. And again, if you really think about the law of familiarity and how that is supposed to, like, we're not supposed to be as excited as we once were when we first were introduced to something or somebody. That's just a law. Not here. It's just so much depth and knowledge and substance that we have been able to provide, and so many things that allowed us to stay relevant throughout the years, throughout the decades, that allows us to realize that there's so much more that we can do, and there's so much more that we're going to do in people's lives and families, homes, and communities. And that is what I'm so excited about, the people that have not heard about this. Now, yeah, I have to allow them their time as well. I have to let them go through the functional changes that our products do for people and how it makes them feel better, how it transpires to other parts of their lives, and they start to share with other people and make an impact as well. I have to go through the emotional part of it as well. There was a story, Jackie here, she just shared, and it reminds us that we don't know how we're going to help somebody, because on the surface, we're talking about the main things that our products do for people. We help people with their health and their wellness, and we help people make additional income if they choose to. But there's so many of your stories that you were impacted that you didn't even realize. Jackie, she's a prayer. That's what she likes to do. That's where she's comfortable at, and that's her life and that's her choice. And she was at a weight that was very painful for her to get in a kneeling position. And yeah, maybe not everybody's a prayer, and that's okay. That's not the point here. The point is that find your inner happiness. For her, that was her inner happiness, to be able to kneel down and do what she loves to do. And she couldn't do it because of the amount of pain that she was in. And our products has motivated her to start eating healthier, exercising, making the right choices, pushing away maybe the dessert, maybe this night she doesn't need it. She's sharing her story and how she developed herself to be have new normals in her life. And those are the stories that are my favorite stories, the ones that we were not expecting or not realizing we are impacting people in a massive way to find their inner happiness. And that's ultimately what we're about, what we talk about a lot. We talk about how if you are able to find your inner happiness, you can transpire and motivate the world to be a better place every single day. And so I'm more excited than I've ever been, honestly. We're making some amazing moves at the corporate office. We're working so hard on behalf of all of you. You are the best part of our company. And everything that we do is to think about how can we support you, whether it's building your paycheck or making your skill sets better, or really just listening to how your cell system is in the field, and then try our best to match that here at the corporate office so that we can just get things out of your way and then you can move forward. Are we a perfect company? No, we're not a perfect company. And I don't think we'll ever be a perfect company. But that's not why I don't think, or why any of us are here. We're not here to try to be a perfect company. We're trying to be a company that adds value and adds hope. Those are the two things that I believe we do better than anything else, because as I get to study a lot of other companies, I realize that if you take people's products and compensation plan and just strip one company's name and add it to the other thing, and then the other company to the other thing, there's actually not much difference, really. But our products is the only one you cannot do that to. You cannot strip our logo add another company's name, plug it into someone else's company, and then it's just going not to be noticeable that that's a different product. That's not the same. That's everything down to the genesis of this company, of how our products was created. I'm starting now to really, that's starting to really seep into me, how we were not planned. It's not that we were planning to be a direct sales company and then, okay, let's just think of a product. Let's get a comp plan and just whatever product it is, doesn't matter, just weight loss, let's do it. That's not how this product was created. It was a breakthrough science event by some amazing doctors that really cared about helping the world, that took a lot of time out of their career and life, dedicated so much. They could have put all they wanted to behind or trap this, where the science could have not been able to be carried forward and not to be ever be sold or not to be ever be shared. And that science and breakthrough could have died at that moment, but it didn't. It was in the right people's hands at that moment. And I believe right now it's in the right hands today to move it forward. And because of that, and because of what they were trying to do and how they wanted to help people, it was able to morph into this industry, which I believe is the exact genesis of the product itself and the people that created it, to provide hope and provide value in people's lives and their body. And so we have so much more to do. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take all of us. We're going to continue to create amazing tools, whether that's tools that are help you going to build face-to-face, whether that's tools that's going to help you build digitally or both. We're going to be able to provide all of us, to put us in an environment to succeed, but more importantly, help you find new leaders and put them in an environment to succeed. So we got so much to do. John, I'm talking so much and so fast is because I'm really excited. And please help me, John, come back in. Let me know what can I also share. What did I miss?
Well,
if anything?
Just a couple quick things, Sharif. The new video is available, I believe, on the app. You want to talk about that a little bit?
It is. There's a English version, a Spanish version in the app right now as we speak. So if you have the app downloaded, you can be able to share it with your friends, your family, track if they watched it, how much of it that they watched. My favorite part of the app, the video, John, I know you didn't ask that question, but you and I were just speaking recently, is the very beginning. And that is not the disclaimer about how these are ambassadors and we don't pay them to take product. It's the story of the girl who wins gold. And then you see her family at home that couldn't be there because of COVID, celebrating. That was the touching part that I thought was perfect to who we are at Immunotech and what Immunical is. She was able to train harder, longer, recover in a way, give her an advantage, because you guys know, and it's not just for athletes. Julie, thank you. I'm so happy that's how you started it. It's not just for athletes. Immunical Sports for anybody. But when you are training for the Olympics, 1 week of feeling sick, so you're training 4 years, right? 1 week of feeling sick puts you behind so much. And so I'm not saying she wasn't sick at all, but what she says herself is that she contributes her success to Immunical and how it made her feel through training and throughout performance. So seeing her family celebrate her was priceless.
Yeah, I that was my favorite part too, and probably a lot of other people. But hey, guys, if you haven't watched the video, when we're done today, go watch it. It's now in your back office, and it's on YouTube, and it's in the app. And what am I missing? Where else is it? Am I missing anyplace else?
Back office, the Facebook group. That's the only page that
Right,
Facebook group as well.
Well, I know today we're gonna even hear from another person who's a pretty good athlete eventually on this call, who's actually runs our compliance, but today she's going to be talking more about product, and I know some of her results, so we'll talk about it. Sharif, I want to thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I know you're super busy there. You got 500, 600, whatever it is, human beings in the room that are pulling at you, but I appreciate you breaking away to participate and say hello to everybody on this call.
Absolutely. I'm going to jump on my phone so you'll see my name, maybe not my face. I might show the crowd a few times, but I'm going to be listening on my headset. But
If
I'll
you
go
could,
join that group.
yeah, if you can
And,
do that, Sharif, that'd be awesome because we'd all love to see the enthusiasm and we'd love to tell them hello and have them tell us hello as well.
yeah, that's awesome. That's what this is about: cheering us on, rooting us all on, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll jump off and you'll see my name though. And you might see some glimpses of the crowd.
Great. Thanks so much, Sharif. Appreciate it. Okay, so listen, hey, moving on, I'm going to bring Sandi Walper back on because we're going to introduce together, another one of our legacy distributors, another one of the people that, early on when we didn't have apps, when we didn't have videos, when we didn't have all this sophisticated stuff, and we just went out every day and we just talked to our next door neighbor and told him about Immunical. Okay. This next gentleman is representative, and he's going to share 6 of the daily actions that he's used to build a tremendous business once again around the globe over the last 24, 25 years, whatever it's been now. The years are going by, but we're all still here. And that says something about Immunitech, the fact that I'm still here, Keith's still here, Sandi's still here, and our next guest, Mr. Jim Spencer, is still here. But I'm going to turn it to Sandi, and Sandi's got a few comments about Jim, and she's going to turn the call to Jim. Sandi, go ahead.
Yeah, so Jim, it's been a long road, but it's been a very interesting journey that we've both been on. And I have to tell you, I've watched Jim from the day he joined Immunitech with his wife, Mimi, and their children. We were on many, many trips together. And Jim is truly what Immunotech stands for. He's a man with integrity. He's a guy that gets in the trenches. He's a guy that cares about everybody. He is also our unofficial company photographer. So over the years, Jim has literally created a library of the whole Immunotech history. So if we ever do a documentary movie, we know that we only have to go to one place, and that would be Jim. Jim has stayed in the trenches at Immunitech for 25 years. He's been on the advisory board of Immunitech with me for many years. He's a member of the Millionaires Club, has been for years and years and years. And the guy is truly a friend. And if you ever get the chance to talk to Jim Spencer in person, then he's also an encyclopedia of knowledge. And a lot of people in the downlines, we call him Dr. Spencer unofficially. He's worked diligently on the science side of this business and the business side for the last 26 years. And I have to introduce him, my good friend and colleague, Jim Spencer. And Jim, thanks Jim and John for helping me in Mexico as well. You don't know what that meant to me. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Sandi. And I have to pay Sandi a lot of money for saying nice things like that. It doesn't come free. But no, we kid each other all the time, and we've been friends for decades now. So I wanted to share some thoughts because, I look at the dozens and dozens of people we have on the call today. And some of you have been very successful in the business. Some of you moderately successful. And there's some people, they say, well, I'm not successful at all. What makes the difference? Why are some really successful and some have not been? Well, I'm going to share a few things that I've learned. Let me do this first. Yes, okay. All right, let's see if we can see this. Can you see that, everybody?
We can, Jim. We can.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So these daily actions that I'm going to mention here, they don't have to all be done at the same time every day. These are some daily actions which you may just get in the habit of doing one a day or two a day. But the idea is this is what helps you to really build on success. Obviously there's people that have been successful in all kinds of different businesses around the world. You've heard of the word tenacity. You've heard of the word consistency. You've heard the word diligence. You've heard the words integrity. Yeah, you need lots of things, but you also need some consistent things that you do. And these are the ones I think that are the critical for success in Immunotech. Number one, absolute, you got to use the products. Now, when John and Sandi and Keith and I started, we had one product. We didn't have a whole lot of things to use. In fact, Sandi will regale you with her stories of the fact that they didn't even have the pouches yet. They sent out a big canister, and when you unscrewed the top and you scooped it, a little mushroom cloud like a nuclear bomb came out of went all over your face and glasses and everything. So, but everybody started using that product. Now, the first thing that happens is you learn about it. You learn how to mix it. You learn how you feel once you use it. This knowledge then turns into belief after you've been on this product for a little while. And I'm talking about our flagship product, Immunical. And the longer you're on it, the more you develop passion for it. So there's a little curve that you go through. You get to understand the complexities of it, what it does for you. Then you see it in action, and then you have passion about it. You really find yourself talking about it. So that's number one. And frankly, we now have a plethora of different products now. The men are in the habit of using on a daily basis the Magistrol, and of course some of the women are starting to slip it in there. The K21, the Extra Sharp. Many people use the on-the-go shakes for a meal replacement. We've had the Cogniva product, which helps keeps us sharp. I find that when I'm doing a seminar and it's late in the evening, I'll pop one of those Cognivas. It just all of a sudden gives you the mental alertness to do it. And of course, all of the daily essentials and the new boosters, all of these things, get used to using all of them. Because the more that you do, the more that you will have the ability to explain them and have the confidence. And that's what direct sales is all about. You look people straight in the eye and you tell them about it. When they see your eyes, they know you're truthfully telling them what's going on, and they believe it. Another thing you could do on a daily basis is share the opportunity. Now, some days you may not have the opportunity because you may be tied up with some projects. But if you're alert to sharing it, you'll find that more and more it happens, and it happens easier. This week I had a haircut, and looks like I've got my barber on the way to becoming an Immunotech distributor. Just simply talking about, you got a captive audience when you're sitting in a barber chair. He can't go anywhere and you can't go anywhere, so you're stuck with each other. But the same thing goes when you're getting your nails done, ladies, or when you're getting your hair done. There's a lot of times where you have opportunities to talk about it, and so think about those type of activities, and that's another part of these 6 daily operations. Now, the third thing is follow-up and supporting and nurturing new people. Now, this is really where the money is, because when you think about it, the duplication process in our business is all about getting people to do what you do. So for a little while, people don't have those connectives. They don't necessarily know how to do them or when to do them or have tips on how to do them. So following up with your new people is very important. I know I like to try to help them sponsor at least 2 or 3 people personally, talking even for them, so that they see how I do it, how I talk. this really gets them supercharged because they realize that you want them to be successful. So you're going to need to make some phone calls with new people, help them get their lists together, and encourage them and celebrate with them when they have success. We have a convention coming up in September in Houston. Oftentimes that does the trick for you, getting people to these conventions and letting them see the activities of other people that are on a stage, and they rub shoulders with hundreds of people that are at these meetings. This is all part of supporting them. And I will tell you, this leads to building teams. Now, the teamwork comes in where you're literally helping them get what you've got. We can maximize our compensation plan with 4 distributors, and I don't suggest you do 10 or 15 because it'll be so wide that it'll be difficult for you to give the personal touch. But if you focus on 4 or 5, help them get trained, and then help them do the same thing with their 4. Now you're going to have about 16 to 20 people on level 2. Now you've got teamwork, and they know what you did for them, and so this is going to duplicate down and help them support their teams as it goes deeper and deeper. And really, if you think about it, focusing on just 2 levels is enough to bring you to the greatest success of the company, because that's where most of your effective leaders will be. And they're going to become like family. To tell you the truth, you get very close with them. You're on a first name basis. Many times you'll visit their homes or travel with them, particularly if you win some of the Immunotech contests. I know I'm looking forward to seeing people from other parts of the world that I haven't seen in a while, and they'll be at some of these on some of these trips. So what you're doing then is you're developing what we call self-sustaining leaders, and that's really number 5. If you've got 4 in your first level and 16 in your second level, not all of them are going to be leaders. You might even have leaders that show up at level 3 or 4 or 5. The onus is on you to identify them. And I'll tell you a little trick that I learned over the years. When people are sponsoring very rapidly, during the month, they're color-coded. So when you do a genealogy, you'll see a number of colors. They used to be yellow. Maybe it's blue now, but basically when you scan down and you scroll through a genealogy and you see a whole bunch of colors, well, you know that person is on fire. That's the person you want to call. That's the person you want to help develop into a leader. So will they learn everything you know? Yes. That's how you know you've duplicated yourself. When you've taught them everything that you know, they'll be self-sustaining. And that's why this industry can last for generations. It's quite different from the general business model. Oftentimes when you teach somebody everything you know, they go off and start their own company and they compete with you. Not with this one. The more you teach them, the more you ensure that they're going to stay with you and stick with you because they know that you have their best interests at heart. So these first few suggestions, number 1 through 5, think about how you can incorporate them on a daily basis. The 6th one is basically managing yourself. You know, there's a lot of times people will call me and say, you know, I haven't had any success this month, but when we evaluate what they've been doing, we found out they haven't been doing anything. They've been fiddling around with the computer and they've been looking at all of these websites that eat up your time. So evaluate how and what you're doing. Look for ways to make yourself more productive. We have a lot of tools now that we never had. I mean, those of us that have been around for decades We didn't have all of these products. We didn't have all of these tools. We've got amazing tools now. Learn how to use them. And one final thought, it's a balancing act to keep everything in proper perspective. And here's something I've learned and I want to share. The business is not supposed to control you. You're supposed to use the business to be able to have control in your life. So that's what you want to remember. Some people get out of control with the business, and it can cost you your family life. So be sure you prioritize these things, keep them in order, and then follow those 6 suggestions on daily operations. Not that you have to do all 6 every day, but maybe focus a few days on one of them and then move on to the others. And that's what I wanted to share today with you folks.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jim. Words of wisdom. And, once again, success leaves clues. You've heard from Jim, you've heard from Sandi, between the both of them over a quarter century each of being involved with Immunotech, sharing the product with people, both as customers and as consultants. And they both have built tremendous businesses now that they started, 25 years ago. Think about it. 25 years ago, where were we at? 1996. It's a long time ago, right? And I think Bill Clinton was president, if I recall correctly. And, and that's how long ago we're talking about. It's a long time ago. And yet it's still here because the business has been sustainable because of a lot of what Jim just shared here, a lot of what Sandi shared. But once again, there's one commonality. If you go in Jim's kitchen or Sandi's kitchen, you're going to find a Immunical, and you're going to find them taking it each and every day. Am I right, Jim?
Yeah, and you'll find all of the products, man, from the time I get up and brush my teeth till the time I go to sleep at night. I'm using the different products during the day.
Exactly. Thanks, Jim. Hey, moving on, guys. We got 2 special guests that are going to work together here. I'm going to introduce the male part of this next part of the conference first. And boy, I could say so much about this guy. We could be on the rest of the call just talking about his accolades, his family's accolades. They are really the first family of business in the nation of Canada. And I say that being married to a Canadian. I say that having lived in Canada for many years. And I say that with great respect for not only for John, but also for his family. Early on, my very first meeting with Dr. Gustavo Bunos was the guy who walked me into the room with my 2 colleagues to have that amazing first meeting with Dr. Bunos was John Molson. Amongst other things, John is a guy who's living the Immunical life. And what do I mean by that? Well, it means that he's been committed to this product, number 1, taking it, number 2, studying it, number 3, bringing it to the marketplace successfully with all the studies that he's been part of the guidance of for 25, going on 26 years now. Every study that we've had, John's had some, relation with the scientist leading that study. John is a guy, as I said, he lives it. He's still a tremendous athlete. He's very committed to his training on a personal level. He's also raised a professional athlete. His son has made it to the National Football League, the highest of the high in the sport of football. His family, his dad, way back was the owner of the Montreal Canadiens hockey team, one of the great legacy teams in not only the National Hockey League, but in all of professional sports. When I think of pro sports, I think of the Packers, I think of the Yankees, I think of the Canadiens, and I think of the Celtics, and I guess I think of Manchester United, the little bit that I've learned about soccer from Don Hutchinson and all of my friends in Europe over the last 25 years. That's a little bit about him. I could go on and on and on, but I want to welcome John to the call. And the young lady who's going to be interviewing him and dialoguing with him is Dr. Nancie Cellini. And amongst other things, she is a graduate of the New York Medical College. She is a public health doctor. Back in New York and New Jersey. She's worked in the pharmaceutical industry, got a tremendous story with Immunical on her own. Fell off her bicycle a few years ago and became wound up busting 3 different things: her shoulder, her elbow, and her hip, and used Immunical in her recovery. And her brother, who is a real pain in the butt when it comes to taking this product, kept telling her, you need to take the product serious. And she did. And she found that the product worked. And before she knew it, she found herself involved in the Immunotech business. She also happens to be my sister. But more importantly than that, I could go on and on about her too. And both John and Nancie, by the way, are career athletes. Nancie's been involved with yoga. She's a black belt in karate. John has been a elite cyclist. So, these are people who live the Immunical lifestyle. So when you hear about Immunical sport, you hear about all these world-class and professional athletes using the product, it started somewhere. It started with people like John and Nancie. So, Dr. Nancie, I'm going to turn the call over to you to interview our good friend, Mr. Molson. Welcome to the call.
All right. Thank you so much, John. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see everyone. Happy August. Happy dog days of summer based on where you are. But I'm just delighted to be here with my colleague and good friend, John Molson. I'm just delighted to be able to do this brief, but we hope very informative session for all of you. And gosh, based on the discussions from Sandi to what we just heard from Jim and what everyone has been echoing, John Molson, I think once again we chose our topic wisely because I think it's very relevant, and our goal in doing these brief segments on health and science and research are so that you have a little bit something extra to put in your pocket and take away with you, and that's the spirit we always show up to do these things in. So today we have a little, I have a couple slides just to set our table for us. And if you will just tell me, can everybody see these slides? Yes? Yes? Okay, good. I see some head shaking. And I only have a couple. Before I bring John up to ask him some very pertinent questions about this topic, we put together this presentation. It's called Beaches, Bones, and Resiliency. And those 3 things actually have a lot more in common than we may realize at first blush. So I'm going to get right into the heart of the matter here. This is a picture of beach erosion. I think everybody's seen an equally disturbing scene like this. But beaches have for a long time, especially here in New Jersey and our 127 miles of gorgeous coastline, beaches around the world are being threatened by something called global warming, climate change. You could say that our Earth is really crying out. Record temperatures this summer. And I heard that only by the year 2053, which is not that far off in the distant future, we're all going to see more than 100-degree temps for sustained periods of time. Beaches are a lot like our bodies. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back to work that was done in the 1960s. My degree is in, my undergrad degree is in environmental science. And I remember reading from these scientists decades ago that were sounding the alarm on what was happening in our environment. And yet here we are. John and I grew up on a beach down in Ortley, New Jersey. And John, you would shed a tear for sure. That beautiful expanse of beach that used to be many football-sized fields in length is reduced to about 5 or 6 feet of beachfront now. It is devastating. And again, what does this have to do with why John Molson and I are here talking to you today? Because there's a very interesting corollary. When we ignore what's going on or the potential for what could happen, we know it can reap just devastating effects. And we're seeing that in global climate changes around the world. Similarly, and I have some good news on this one, bone health left unchecked can also lead to some very serious consequences. For those of you who are familiar with the disease, osteoporosis currently in our world affects 1 out of 3 women over the age of 50. And just think about that for a moment. And it's not only women who suffer osteoporosis. 1 in 5 men over the age of 50 worldwide will suffer a fracture from osteoporosis. So what's going on here? Why haven't we heeded the warning? I'll tell you from a scientific perspective, I don't know that we fully understand bone regeneration and bone regrowth. As many of you know, this is often considered the disease that affects women. Well, it doesn't just affect women. As you can hear from those statistics, it affects a lot of men too. Here's the good news. For years, this was just a given. You got to be a female, post childbearing years, you were going to have this. And a lot of the treatment medically, I have to tell you, is extremely biased when someone looks at your age and then looks at your profile. But that may be changing, because a recent article in which scientists looked at the effects of oxidative stress, the declining source of antioxidants in our bodies, they're making some new breakthrough discoveries, I think, in saying, hey, maybe osteoporosis isn't this bone brittle disease we thought it was that only is affected by age. As a matter of fact, they're saying quite the contrary. This is multifactorial, and all of the things we've all talked about on these calls prior, that John Molson and I have talked with you about, start to come into this new picture. And it looks like this. Very simply, consider this as an economic supply and demand curve done whimsically. When we start out and we're really young, we've got a good supply, generally speaking, of all the good stuff. As we age, the good stuff wanes. It gets used up for a variety of reasons. But the demand for the good stuff, where it may start out at an elevated level when we're young and we're growing and our bones are forming, as we age, the demand for that stuff just goes over the top. And yet we have this disequilibrium between what we have available in our bodies and what our bodies truly need as we get on in our years, as we age. Now, previously, and there's a reason for that, more to the reason than might have met the eye even just a decade ago. Research such as the Exposome Project, which we talked about, is now measuring all of the exposures that we have in a lifetime to some of those things. Sandi talked about it so brilliantly earlier in our call. You know, it's this cascade of stuff. We get exposed to toxins from products and pollution in water and air, and the list goes on and on and on. We can run from some of these. We can shield ourselves. We can protect our homes. We can protect our bodies. We can't hide from them, because the truth is those beaches and the global impact of global change and climate change and erosion and pollution, I'm afraid to say we really have reached a bit of a tipping point. Whether or not we can come back from this remains to be seen, and without radical action that's necessary by each of us and a lot of big think tanks and countries, we've got to reduce the toxic burden on us as humans. It is off the chart. So basically the earth, the air, the water, the food we put in our bodies, the food supply, and as any good farmer, wise farmer will tell you, seeing changes in that too. Dramatic changes in farming. But everything from the creams we put on our bodies, our homes, the toxins that we may be exposing ourselves to in cleaning products, all of those are potentially harmful. So this new thinking about not only the global environment, but about bone health and this exposure to toxins, the release of free radicals in the body, and the depletion of antioxidants, all set up kind of this perfect storm. And that's what John and I are here to talk with you about. But let me give you one other piece of really good news, nice news, and I'm going to stop sharing here. It's the last word in our presentation title, Beaches, Bones, and Resiliency. The really good news, and I'm going to be asking John some direct questions about this, is that as a human species, you might all recall we have adapted. That's kind of been going on since many, many years ago. We've adapted and we start to change. And through these changes, by using supplements, by changing our lifestyle, by changing our diet, the way we sleep, the food we eat, maybe even the company we keep, we're incredibly resilient. That's the word I want you to all hold on today. And if I were to describe my Immunical experience, it helped me in one word to be the resilient human that I know we each and all have potential for. Now, it is pretty dark days when you're staring at a bad diagnosis for anything. And this is not to suggest that anything is a cure-all. But the more we learn about these exposures and the important benefit of antioxidants, the reactive oxygen species and the damage that that does, the more the case than ever before for taking that dose of Immunical every single day. And I recently asked my buddy John, what do you think is the best dose? He said, taking it. Making sure we take it every single day. So with that as a backdrop, John Molson, thank you so much for doing this together. It is always a privilege to work with you. And every time I talk to you, I learn so much from you. So thank you for being here. I have some questions for you that I think the rest of the audience might have as well. And of course, if you have more, write them in. We'll try, if time permits, to get you some answers. But I want to start out with your experience, because he's been mentioned so many times today, your direct hands-on experience with Dr. Bunos. He had a very philosophical view of this modern world. And I remember you sharing some of that with me. The supply and demand that we whimsically depicted in that slide today to Dr. Bunos was a very real issue. And he discovered this, talk about a cutting edge thinker long before it was fashionable to be talking about this. Can you share some of his cutting edge thoughts on this aspect of human health concerning environmental variables and the depletion of glutathione? What was his view on that?
First of all, hi, Nancie, and thank you for putting this together. We're really blessed to have you on this call. And you're correct. Dr. Bunos was as much a philosopher as he was a scientist. And he looked at these questions like our modern day astronomers look at the cosmos using Hubble and Webb from a really broad perspective. As I mentioned, going to work every day was like going to university with a professor who could speak on any subject. And he certainly had his opinions about this subject. He looked at the glutathione antioxidant system in the context of the demands placed on it by our modern environment. And he quickly deduced that because of things like global warming's impact on new and more virulent viruses, increased pollution, reductions in the ozone layer, there are even greater demands being placed on the body's reserves. Now, contrary to that, on the supply side, because of changes in the food supply, which impact the body's ability to make sufficient amounts of glutathione based on these new demands, it sets up almost this perfect storm. And he was speaking to me about this 25 years ago, when we would sit together. He would talk about this equally as much as he would talk about the immune system. So this pollution and the global impacts were really close to his heart.
He was absolutely an early adopter in that thinking, John. 25 years ago, that was my follow-up to you. How many years ago are we talking that he had this epiphany about the world we live in? So thank you for sharing that. That's a long time ago, before, as I said, it was fashionable for scientific minds like his to be talking about this. So really, really stunning there. But let me ask you something else. You've mentioned to me also that he also had developed a hypothesis about how the supply and demand concept may negatively impact the glutathione antioxidant system. Talk to us a little bit about that, because he obviously did a lot of thinking on this.
Absolutely, so he reasoned that during what he termed severe challenge, competition for glutathione precursors may lead to, and this is the important point, single or multiple functional deficiencies. And global warming empowers microbes, which are now expanding both in number and diversity. And thus, to make matters worse, the glutathione requiring immune system must compete for glutathione precursors with organs increasingly involved in the body's defenses against pollutants and ultraviolet radiation from ozone depletion. So it sets up this perfect storm. And, he went on to write articles about how this may be involved in the induction of chronic fatigue in some cases.
Truly amazing, because again, cutting edge thinking maybe by more integrative functional medicine people today, but this was not a household discussion 25 years ago when he was doing this work. So if you already love Dr. Bunos for what he did, you can love him more. I often lament, where is he when we need him at a time where these voices need to be raised, because the issues, as I said, from a public health perspective, the disease burden that this has created worldwide is remarkable, and not remarkable in a good way. So John, you and I have talked about this before in other Zoom-Taculars. We're frequent flyers here, right? And you've described Immunical's impact on our health before, our well-being and performance, as giving us that beautiful word, that positive word, greater resiliency as humans. What research do we have that underpins this from other collaborations with Dr. Linsman at the University of Denver? Now listen to this hit list of superstars, guys. The sports science firm Orico, and the prehabilitation trials that are going on at Montreal General Hospital. Talk to us a little bit more about this issue, because that's important.
So, based on everything I know and I've seen over the last 25 years and through those discussions with Dr. Bunos, that's the term, from my personal perspective, that best describes Immunical's impact on our health, well-being, and performance. From a basic science perspective, Dr. Linsman, ran experiments that looked at the impact of Immunical on brain cells subjected to different stress agents. The cells treated with Immunical had greater resiliency to the agents. An example in the real world, I asked Dr. Brian Moore, who co-founded Oracle, what was Immunical's impact on the world-class athletes they monitored? And he indicated to me that Immunical supplemented athletes were more resilient to all the stressors athletes are subjected to, training stress, competition stress, etc. So in effect, that impacted their ability to stay healthy and well and not break down. And then lastly, in our work in prehabilitation at the Montreal General, when patients are supplemented with Immunical and exercise for 30 days prior to surgery, they recover more quickly than those who do not and have fewer complications going forward. So those are three quick examples. I mean, I could sum the whole literature, essentially over 80 articles now in some way touch on that theme of resiliency. So that's, my most favorite word when talking about and thinking about our research.
It's mine too, John. You and I share a lot of things, and I love that word because I just want to add as an aside to this, doing work as a yoga therapist with people who have had great trauma, worse than I could ever imagine. And I had a lot of it. I had polytrauma myself. There is a new emerging field coming out of post-traumatic stress disorder and what happens to people when they're severely traumatized. We're realizing now that people enter a phase called PTG. And the word that they use to describe it, it's post-traumatic growth, is that with the proper supplementation, exercise regime, rehabilitation, supportive structures, family, spiritual, whatever else an individual needs, people are tremendously resilient. So we look at resiliency not only from a cellular level when we describe what's happening in terms of our depletion and then our supplementation using Immunical, but that word carries a lot of wonderful meaning. And again, I want to offer everybody hope on this call, not only going through what I went through, but I see it all the time. When people have the right stuff on board, not only from a supplementation perspective, but when they're surrounded with love and a cohesive family, friends, this family of wonderful Immunotech people, they recover and they become resilient. So that word has very special meaning. In closing, because you've got such a wealth of knowledge, John, can you boil down for our listeners today, what's the single most important takeaway from this conversation today? Beaches, bones, resiliency. What do you want them to remember? What do you want them to consider next time they're sitting in front of someone who says, no, I don't think this product's, worth beans to me? What do you want them to think about? What's the takeaway?
Well, the most important takeaway, first of all, is that everything I'm telling you is what Dr. Bunos told me. So I'm passing it on. And essentially, he explained to me, it's very hard, if not impossible, to escape the impact of our modern environment, as most of us live within major urban centers. With this new reality, even greater demands being placed on glutathione, which can result in suboptimal defense if we do not have sufficient stores of the precursor. So supplementing with Immunical can help give us those sufficient amounts to meet the new demands of our modern environment. And he talked to me about this like weekly. And so, I was fascinated by the fact that all this research was built on immune function, but he was equally fascinated by, all the different variables that affect that particular function. And so when we talk about Dr. Bunos having this holistic perspective, he really understood the global impact on immune function, on detoxification, and how it impacts our health. And that's, one of the greatest lessons I took away from spending all that time with him.
Wonderful, John. And we always give him lots of homage, and to you as well for carrying the historical context and lessons that he shared with you. He certainly was cutting edge, way ahead of his time. And I wish he was still here so I could sit down and interview him. But we're very blessed to have you. And thank you for spending the time. And thank you, everyone. I hope, as John does equally, that this has given you some more insight and some more good ammunition in your back pockets, because science really does rock. Thank you, John. Stay well, everyone. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Dr. Nancie. Thank you, John Molson, as always. Insightful, interesting. I was taking notes. If you guys wonder why I turned my camera off, by the way, it's to take notes from the speakers, because I learn more conducting these calls than I ever do speaking on them. So anyway, thank you both as always. And hey, I'm going to introduce another person who like John, like Nancie, like Sharif Sayed, by the way, who some of you don't know is a very good athlete in his own right. Played football here in Texas. If you play football in Texas, you can play the game, believe me. But anyway, we're starting to get more and more into athletics. And this next lady I'm going to introduce, she's got this little job. It's I don't know, something to do with compliance or something. I don't know. She never bothers me, so I guess I'm a good boy. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, she's got this job with Immunotech for compliance. But she's also a heck of an athlete. And I would love to have my good friend, Julie Gorham, who is a world-class competitor, talk a little bit about her athletic achievements, whatever she's doing now, because she's always training for something. I'm not sure what, but she's always training for her upcoming national event this time of year, I know. So, Julie, I want to welcome you to the call, first of all. Julie Gorham.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. So good to see you. You just mentioned quickly that you have lived in Canada, and I was off camera at that time, and I'm happy I did, because yeah, I kind of miss having you down the street, Mr. Solleder.
And I know I kind of miss you too. I mean, we used to be able to get together at Tim Hortons. Hey, here's the good news. Fred started college last week, as you probably know from Facebook.
Yes.
And I met the president of the college the other night. Jose and I were invited, and I was kidding Jose. I said, well, we better bring our checkbook, because when the president of a college invites you to something, but it wasn't really that. It was just kind of an introduction. Very nice man. Anyhow, but they made us goodie boxes for the kids with Tim Hortons coffee. Wow. It's like my American friends are going like, what's the big deal? You don't understand the relevance of Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is, I am not a coffee drinker, but I love their iced tea. And Tim Hortons is a remarkable brand, and it's here now in Texas. That's the good news. So,
well, I'm happy to hear that, because that's a little piece of home for Fred as he gets ready for his university college years. So that was really sweet. But I do miss you, Mr. Solleder. I do miss you very much. So
I miss you too. Hey, Joe, let's just start out a little bit, because we've introduced Mini-Cal Sport. We introduced this new video today, and we're getting some great athletes involved with the company, and all of that's terrific. But you're a heck of an athlete. I mean, I know your athletic background, but share a little bit, if you would, with the audience and your own results with Immunical, and then we'll go into the minutia of how they can talk about Immunical without getting compliance letters from this lady that runs compliance. This alter ego of yours.
The scary compliance lady. Be careful for her. Watch out, world. So for those who don't know me, which there are people who don't know me, I am head of compliance here at Immunotech. I am an Immunotech baby. I've been here for over 13 years, played a few different roles, but in order to honor the truth, I will share with all of you who haven't, perhaps heard my story, which I've shared on very few occasions, but Keith Hooper has a audio, so I gotta honor the truth. I actually came to Immunotech as a consultant. I was actually in Keith and John's downline. And I came to Immunotech literally by Googling a natural product that could help with, we'll say, certain respiratory concerns that I lived with, and my son was having at the time. For those who don't know me, I am that natural organic girl, and I literally did a Google looking for a natural way to support the fact that my son inherited my very malfunctioning lungs. And I came across this company, Immunotech, and this product, Immunical, and this Larry Land study that was done over at down here, downtown. I'm close to Montreal. And I recognized the logo. I honestly didn't read everything, because immediately I recognized the logo. At that time, Canadian headquarters is like down the street from my house. So like John said, I get around a lot. I'm a very restless individual. I am an endurance athlete, and I had ran by and rode by our corporate offices many times. And when I saw that logo, thank God I was born in the age of the internet, and I discovered this amazing product. And I came in as a product consumer, all honesty. I had no notion of network marketing. I had no notion of direct selling. I don't know where I was and why the Avon lady never knocked on my door, but she didn't. And this was a whole new world for me. And we started taking the product. I was the first one in the family to take the product, because before in my mind, before I gave something to a toddler, I was going to take it myself. And there's audio out there that will prove that so many years later, if my memory serves me right, Mr. Hooper, Uncle Hooper will correct me, but I went from not being able to get out of a chlorinated pool as a triathlete and run to feeling so much stronger and being able to do my brick workouts the way my coach wanted me to do them. So the product from the beginning just helped me tap into my own engine, into my own power, and really just get the best out of myself. And the whole family has been taken Immunocal all these years, and now I'm absolutely stoked to be able to take Immunocal Sport. Immunocal and Immunocal Platinum, ladies, please don't be afraid of creatine. Studies show that females require creatine too. It's very good for us and our energy creation and function. So go with it. But yeah, for so many years in sports, taking Platinum and Immunocal truly helped me recover better and get the best out of myself every single day. And I was able to achieve the top ranks in long course triathlon. Took Immunocal with me straight to the World Championship. And then I was having way too much fun in triathlon and switched into cycling, racing my bicycle. And once again, Immunocal helped me perform my best, get the best out of myself, and tap into my own, I'll say God-given, but you work really hard as an athlete, potential, and took me to the top of the ranks here nationally in cycling. And now with Immunocal Sport, I got to switch it up again. John, you know, I'm restless. I can't wear just, you know, one hat at a time. I gotta do different things. So now my focus is actually into running this year. I'm super excited to see what I can do on the trail running scene, which is, I've always ran. I believe in running as an amazing form of meditation. But to try and hit those top ranks, I'm going to be 43 in 2 weeks. So I want to go and see if I can pass the young guys out there on the trails. So I know with sport, it's just going to take it all to a whole new level.
Well, you know, Julie, let's talk a little bit because you are the head of compliance. So, you know, segueing a little bit into the serious thing, there's always the question by distributors, what can I say? What can I say? Not just because, you know, obviously they don't want you sending them a love letter, but also they don't want to get in trouble with the FTC or the FDA or health and welfare or the equivalent, you know, alphabet people in their respective countries. So talk about what they can say, how they can position it without causing themselves any headaches, most importantly.
Yeah, and thank you. I think that's a truly honest conversation that people who have been here for a long time, which we are a very, very blessed company to have consultants who have been here for a lifetime and new people who are coming in every single month. And I think it's an important conversation to have. So thank you for the question. Thank you, Keith and John, for inviting me. I love these calls. It's just nice to see everyone's face. I don't get out much anymore. But I think one thing we have to always just come back and keep in front of us is how we feel on the product. So I'm gonna be very, very simple. I'm gonna simplify it for everybody. Nobody can tell you how you feel and how you don't feel. Nobody can tell you that your feeling is right or wrong. So if you are doing a presentation in a public space where you could be recorded, where you're on Facebook and it can be a screenshot and your private groups are not private. So when you are putting something out there, you want to remember that if you lead with how you feel, nobody can really come down on you about that. So I know it's so easy with Immunocal, so extremely easy to want to go into claims because we all have them. We've all lived them. We all have our testimonies. Trust me, guys, if I could, I will bawl telling you all my testimonies. John and Keith have seen me cry too many times. But there's the reality, and the reality is that how the product makes me feel every day is my own experience, and nobody can take that from me, and nobody can tell me that's wrong. So when you are in a public setting or on a public forum, which once again, guys, social media, please understand it's public. Go with how you feel. Go with you feel better. You feel like you have more energy. You feel stronger and you're lifting more in the gym, which is a testimony that John can share. That's not mine, but you know, go with how you feel and how it makes you feel. That'll keep it safe. And I say keep it safe because I think one thing that we fail to comprehend, and even in the position I am in, you know, a certified compliance professional, I still have to sometimes remind myself that what every single one of us puts out there, the company is responsible for. So when you are making a claim and you are going with a illness, or you are going with a specific health testimony, the company is held responsible for what you write or what you say. So we want to protect, those claims out there can have wide-reaching implications on every single person on this call and every single person in Immunotech. So if it's going public, please remember, go with your feelings. That's always the simplest and best way to do it. However, that being said, you have a business to build. And we always say in Immunotech, this is a people business. If you are here and you want to build a business behind a screen, there are people who have done it. They have much better skills than I do. I am a people person. I love people. I love the hugs. I love the emotion. I love the raw energy when we all get together. And that is how this business was built. We heard Sandi say she didn't even have a telephone. Her neighbor was like a pigeon note away. It's a people business. And when you're speaking to a prospect or you're speaking to a potential customer, that is a private conversation. If that conversation is private, express yourself. Does that make sense? Like if you're meeting Keith is like, but if I'm back in the day when I was a consultant, if I had been meeting somebody in my home, in my kitchen, at a Starbucks, sitting on the metro, of course you want to share the science. People in Canada, we are so blessed. Health Canada has given us claims that we can use about these products. Use them, abuse them, please share those. And you can wrap those in, again, with how you feel, 100%. Those are private conversations. I do not want to meddle with your private conversations. However, when it's public, we have to have that different approach. We have to remember that what we say has wide-reaching implications. So keep it to your feeling. If you want to share your testimony and get into the detail, make sure that's in a private conversation, please.
Great.
If that makes sense.
So wait. So Julie, so what you're saying is the video that I have of you in an airplane giving.
Oh my God, you do have that video.
Oh yeah, I got it as a video. So everybody wonder why compliance is nice to me, because I have that video. But so those are things that we share with people personally. So I can share what the product has done for me in a private environment. And I think that's what everybody really wants to know when we're sitting there.
You can definitely share that in a private environment. And Keith has a video of that because, once again, I was a consultant and Keith was helping me build my why. He was helping me build my story, and he did some recording. And by the way, in that video, which is not public, so you have to be really nice to Keith and probably pay him a generous sum of money if you want to see it. But my baby boy was 3 and he just turned 16 last week. So goes to show the power of this company, goes to show the power of this community. And 100% Keith, things like that, like those honest, let's say, health testimonies where we are naming illnesses or we are getting into the nitty-gritty of a transformation and an improvement, you want to make sure that those are done in private conversations. There's no problem with that. But when you're putting it out there into the world, including private Facebook groups, what we ask in compliance is that everybody just keep it to how you feel, because that is simply the rules, and we got to play by the rules. Some rules are meant to be broken. This is not one of them. Not at all.
We're going to have Dylan come on and tell his story one of these days.
Oh my gosh. He like, honestly, and I know everybody, I'm going to get emotional because I haven't spoken to all of you and seen all these smiling faces in quite some time, but this community has seen my son grow up. They have seen me grow up. And I know that everyone who doesn't know me is like, oh, she's corporate. 100% I am corporate, but I think that the power of Immunotech is that you can create change. You can create positive change in many different ways in your lives. And this community, the support that everybody has from these calls, Sharif getting on, the event that's taking place in LA right now. Those are there to support you, and compliance is there to support you. And please know, I know where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from. I've been there. We're here to help. We're here to give you solutions. We're here to help you share your story in a way that is going to help you build your business. Because at the end of the day, when I go to bed at night, this company and the people on this call have changed my life 100% and changed my little boy's life. And I just want you all to be able to put a box of Immunical in every single home and help every single man, woman, child, human who needs our help. So we're here to help you and support you and give you solutions. Compliance is always here to help you do it in a way that's going to protect us all and allow this company to keep growing, because what you're building is a legacy. What you are building is something that you can leave to your children, that you can leave to the next generation. And we want you to be able to do that. So
Right.
I know where you're coming from. I'm here to help.
Well, Julie, well said, and I couldn't agree more, quite frankly. Keith is texting me, which means I probably messed something up. I don't know. But
No, we don't have anything there, but I mean, Julie, phenomenal. Like I say, Dylan, I know the results that he has gotten, and your husband and all of your family is absolutely amazing. And I think it's just important for everybody to understand that. And what I was telling you, John, is we've got Linda Castillo with us, and she's in her daughter's dorm room, I think.
Oh, so you're telling me I'm flip-flopping the schedule again? Well, that's okay.
We're going to have a little fun here. So, hey, I hope everybody really appreciates Julie coming on here with this. I mean, I call her, she does have nuclear devices. If you go on Facebook and post stuff, or you put out YouTube videos, or you put it on what you think is a social media that nobody is going to know, she's going to know, and she will nuke you. So don't do that.
Well, but she'll nuke you in a nice way. But Julie, I want to thank you first of all. But I want to make a point. Be it Julie, be it Sharif, be it our next speaker, Linda Castillo. I'm gonna flip flop you and Linda, if that's okay on your end. Doug Leclair, good. Okay, good. These are corporate folks, and you know what? If Mauricio was here, or if Brant was here, or any of our other executive team, guys, we're on the same page. Okay, we all love this brand. We all understand it. We appreciate it. We take it. Our families take it. I've watched Dylan grow up. Julie's watched Fred grow up. Can't believe Fred has his first college hockey practice Monday night, Julie. I really am getting old. But we watch this. My sister obviously is involved in this business. Some of your families are. But here's the biggest thing. You met Jim Spencer, you met Sandi Walper, you met Keith Hooper, 25 plus year legacies that those people have, including myself. That being the case, okay, we want this 25 years from now, somebody doing a Zoom call about Immunical. And that's why we protect this sometimes where somebody, they mean well, but they get a little bit overly exuberant on how they tell their story. And that's really all compliance is here for, is to help you tell right. If you have a question, hey, J Gorham, Gorham @immunitech.com. Say, hey, I have a question. I'm presenting to the local Kiwanis Club, and a lot of the guys are in their 70s and 80s, and I'm going to say this or that. Can I say this or that? Just shoot Julie an email. Say, hey, can I say this or that? And she'll help you through the process, or one of her staff will. So,
hey, Julie, okay. I think it might be better if they just send it to compliance@immunitech.com.
Either one.
Would that be better, Julie?
Either one. Thank you, Keith, for protecting my sleep at night. I really appreciate you. But no, we are here. No, John's making a solid point. We are absolutely. I do not know, and I don't mean this to pat myself on the back. This is the result of the leadership that is in Immunitech. I do not know another company where compliance is field facing. I don't. Compliance is scary people. They are behind closed doors. They don't want to talk to anybody. It is the opposite. My team loves, appreciates, and respects every single one of you and the work that you are doing. We love Immunitech. We want Immunitech to grow, and we want to be part of that process in any way that we can assist you. So please turn to compliance if you're unsure, if you don't know, if you're doing a presentation and you just want to make sure that it's a-okay. Get a hold of us and we will get back to you. Normally within 48 hours is our turnaround time, because we want you to build this business. And I'm going to retire one day. and Dylan is going to be here to continue to hopefully be a part of Immunotech and to see it grow. And Dylan and Fred are gonna rule the world, and John and I will be on a beach somewhere with our feet up, and that's the story. So yeah, we're here to help.
I hope so. Hey, you know what? I'm going to move on because I know Linda Castillo is heading to the airport. I want to get Linda on here. Linda runs kind of this Midwestern region of Immunotech, sales-wise for us. She's on the road constantly. She's at her daughter's dorm right now. Her daughter is checking into, I believe it's Texas Tech, for her second year already. God, Linda, that time's gone fast, too fast. But let me get Linda on here because I know she's heading to the airport, and Linda's going to tell her Immunical story. Linda, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you, Keith, for having me. Oh, so great to hear from Julie. I don't get to see her that often, so awesome to hear from her. And yes, I'm sitting in my daughter's dorm for what are like the last 10, 15, 20 minutes before I have to head to the airport, just trying to soak her in as much as possible. So love Immunotech, and love that I can do this from wherever I am, right? But one of the things that I love the most about Immunotech is what Immunical has done for me. Almost right after I had her, I think she was like 3, when I entered a stage of my life that I wasn't supposed to enter and wasn't ready to enter, I went into menopause. And without getting into all the medical situations that came after that, so many things you can imagine, ladies that have gone through that, the endless number of things that you go through. And at an early age, I was in my very early 30s, and it was, I was happy. I was a brand new mom, but I was sad because that wasn't supposed to be happening. I'm not supposed to beat my mom to that. And so it was one of those things where I wish I had found Immunotech so much earlier in my life. I really do, because I feel like my life would have been very different. And that almost makes me teary-eyed to just think that everything that I've been through before I found Immunotech. I'm so grateful to my boss, JC, who found me in the midst of a COVID pandemic and offered me the position to come work for Immunotech as a regional manager. I love what I do, and I love the company. I love the leaders like you, John and Keith, and just everything that you do for Immunotech and for everyone in your organizations. But what Immunical did for me is life-changing. I went from having pains just to get up in the morning, just to walk. And I've always traveled. I've always been in the sales field. And with that comes, I'm probably on an airplane every single week. I try to stay home 1 week a month, but normally the other 3 I'm on the road, and that wears and tears on your body. And I think about all the trips that I did in my previous companies before Immunotech, and I didn't have a chance to recover. And I was always in pain. My hips were always locking up. I'm listening to, the previous, I jumped in for a little bit in between Target runs and was listening to what was being shared about osteoporosis. And I was just like, so many things. And again, that I was so young going through. And now I am a huge fan of all the Immunotech products. Immunical has changed my life in so many ways, having the energy, and I'm not even talking about the sport one, but having the energy, having the alertness, digestive issues that I've had, and our probiotics are the best. That my teenage kid here at Texas Tech in the dorm, she's stocked up with everything, because I tell her, baby girl, if you take this stuff before your mommy's age, you won't follow my pattern. And so she's got her calcium, her probiotics, she's got her omegas, everything. That was one of the big things on our packing list to get her here in her dorm situated. But I just, and it's funny because I think about that time, and I was way thinner. I was about 20, 25 pounds thinner. I mean, I was younger, yet my body, I think, was super old. And now that I'm older, and I put some COVID weight on that I haven't quite gotten rid of, I feel so much better. It's the most bizarre thing. I'm happy, I'm energetic. I can go on a run with my daughter and keep up with her without a problem. And so the way you feel when you're taking Immunical, you sometimes I can't even explain it. They're just, they're always like, wow, I go on a trip, I come back, I start cleaning the house, I start doing my laundry. Like, I don't miss a beat because I don't feel like I have to recover from a trip. It's so amazing. And, all the issues that I dealt with as repercussions because of that stage of life that I had entered, I don't struggle with. So it's wonderful to not have to try to remember the things that I needed to do. It's wonderful to not have to be worried about, oh, this is going to hurt my stomach. No, my digestive system is working great. My cognitive system is working great. Everything is working great. And I got to wear heels again. I had these beautiful heels at my previous company. I worked at a cosmetic company. It's all about image. And I had all these wonderful heels that I had kind of had to say bye to. And I can wear my 3-inch heels again. So I just love Immunical, what it does for me on the inside, how I feel how people perceive me on the outside. And I love the company. I think Mauricio has a beautiful vision for where Immunitech is going to go. 3.0, I think, is not even the beginning. I think back to 1.0, there's always been a vision. And all we're doing is building upon what you guys have done and taking it to the next generation, like Fred. I was telling my daughter about Fred and about how this next generation is going to take us even further to 5 or 6.0. So that's my Immunitech story. I'm so honored and thrilled that you guys let me share it. I don't get to do that often. I'm always talking about compensation and numbers and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is I love our products. I'm in love with our products. Thank you so much, guys.
I know you got to run to the airport, but I've got to say this, and I'm saying it sincerely, not only to you, but everybody else. From the first time that you and I met a couple of years back at Starbucks in Allen, Texas, right? We sat outside on a freezing cold day. Yeah. We do have freezing cold days in Texas, folks. Not recently, but we really do. I think it was March, right? March or April, right? During COVID, right? And we sat out there drinking hot chocolate and coffee and everything, and we sat out there. You look younger now than you did then, and I do, and without getting in trouble with Julie and getting a letter, I think it's the antioxidant effect of the product. You look great. Keep it up. Give your daughter a big hug. I can't believe it. And I think, you know what? We were talking then. She was about to graduate high school, so how fast time has gone. So anyway, you enjoy your remaining time with her today, and I know you've run into the airport.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being on. Okay,
bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Okay. So, hey, moving on. Another long-term Immunitech leader. He's an engineer by profession. He's also a great athlete. We got a lot of great athletes on this call today. I feel like I'm back at my old employer many years ago where I did nothing but interview athletes all day. But this gentleman, just a great guy, engineer by profession. Got into Immunitech, built a business that's gone on for well over 20 years now. He also is a coach. I know he coaches kids in running, and he's got his Immunitech story. So I'm just going to turn the call over to my good friend from beautiful Ontario, Mr. Doug Leclair.
Wow, thanks a lot, John, for that great introduction. And what an inspiring afternoon. Oh my goodness, the stories are just flying off for people. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to get into my 3-inch heels, but I'll do my best.
Your best, Doug.
Thanks for the allotment of 3 hours this afternoon, John. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my Immunitech story began over 22 years ago, and very blessed and grateful to have found a company with integrity, and also to find a company with a unique product and service. And basically, I can't attribute all of my success to just myself. I mean, there was a few things that when I looked at Immunitech, one of the first things I looked at was partnering with a good leader, partnering with somebody with integrity that I knew that would be around here with Immunitech for as long as I hung around for. So my good friend and leader that helped me with Immunitech was Foster Owusu. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with him on the call this afternoon, but if you're not, hopefully we'll hear his story soon. But when I look at other things that attribute to my success, and listening to John and listening to a lot of the leaders, and really excited about Randy Gage helping us with marketing. He was one of my mentors early on. And if you look at mentorship, I think really to find and define yourself, I think you have to start looking for mentors. Mentors in running, mentors in health, mentors in personal development, mentors in maybe some of your hobbies. So I brought with me a few of my mentors over the course of the years. And this was just a book. It's Let's Eat Right to Keep Fit by Adele Davis. I read this when I was 11 years old. I believe this was written back in the late 50s. When I look at mentorship for running, I've got Jack Daniels, and that's not the whiskey, by the way. But this is a great book on really challenging and in getting that extra step. And for me, prior to Immunical, I always found the change of the seasons to be taxing on my breathing. I had asthma as a kid. I was really responsive to allergies in the springtime, ragweed in the fall, and I would stay hidden during these times. Since being on Immunical, I feel like there are no days that I have to avoid. I can just get out. I've got unlimited energy. Sitting after, say, a long run, after 30, 35 kilometers of running, we're sitting at Starbucks. I'm talking to people that are 10, 15, 20 years younger. And they're complaining about aches and pains and all this. And I said, boy, I'm not looking forward to when I get to your age. And they just turn around and look at me and they just start laughing. And they say, what are you doing? And I said, well, I eat well. And of course, I take Immunical. And also other books. Of course, we can't forget this one by our good Dr. Jimmy Gutman. Just an awesome, what he wrote to me. And we had book exchanges in the past. And he just says he loves to work with me. And that's a treat when you get books like that. This is one in philosophy, Rudolf Steiner from Germany, The Philosophy of Freedom. Remember, I'm a big freedom guy. And that's another reason why when I looked at different companies and looked at different professions, when I was in the corporate engineering world, I didn't own my time. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, the alarm clock goes off, I'm out the door. And by the end of the week, you're just exhausted and you really haven't accomplished anything for yourself. So you're working to build somebody else's dream. And that's enough for me. Now, a friend asked me what time I get up. I simply say, well, when I've finished sleeping. So it's nice to have that option. And another great book, of course, is one of my great mentors. And I've had the opportunity to spend many visits with Dr. Gustavo Bunos and really learn what type of man he was. And he was definitely a man of integrity, a philosopher. He loved cartoons. He loved cooking shows. And that leads to another story and you may want to ask me one time what, in one of my Zoom calls, I'll share those stories for you. Another, of course, I mentioned this gentleman here. I've got a little bit more of my story in Foster's book. Thank you, Foster, for including me in your book. Fire your boss, hire yourself. And this is an oldie, but a goodie. We can't forget that, and mentors galore, like, of course, Jim Rohn. And one of his things that really speak out to me is each of us need all of us. So it's important to understand that there are no exclusions. It's important that we are united, that we be free, we be united, and be kind. Always consider the other person. always think of the kindest thing that you can say. And of course, I have to be compliant and just following Julie. Oh my goodness. I had to rip up all of my notes. And Keith says, Doug, stay in the guardrail, stay on the road. If you want to see me go off the guardrail to the other side, then join us for our product experience calls on Wednesday night, where we might dive into certain things. But I'm just kidding, of course. I stay pretty much on the road half the time. So I look at other mentors in my family. I look at my Uncle Morris. He went on vacation and he comes back and his insurance company had closed the doors, locked everything. They let him into his office. He grabbed his filing cabinet and he just started making phone calls. And he had 4 children to feed, no job, company's gone. So that's motivation. I mean, that's a reason to get really moving. And he shared with me 3 secrets that he said, Doug, number 1 secret, see the people. Okay. What's number 2? See the people. And number 3, can anybody guess what that is? See the people. So we're in a people business. And for me, that's when I really thrive, is just seeing and being with people. And of course, my Zoom calls, I've been doing one every night for a number of for at least 2.5 years now, and I'm continuing those. So to sum it all up, I would just say readers are leaders. So commit yourself to picking up or reading 1 book a month, whatever that may be. There are so many to choose from. I mean, Dr. Nancie Cellini talked about the environment. I'm very passionate about that. There's a great book called Toxic Legacy by a professor, Stephanie Seneff, who's also an engineer and a scientist from MIT. Great book in finding out what are some of the toxins in our environment that need to be eliminated. And of course, always ask permission. When you're introducing yourself or when you're introducing a product, service, just ask, would it be okay? And of course, that came up when John was talking about John Snyder and that, that's it. I think that, and of course, anyways, I just want to be grateful. And of course, another thing to have is your journal. And you know what? It doesn't hurt to have a gratitude journal and just to be grateful for all the people in your lives, the Immunotech family. There are so many things I could talk about. Just being passionate about being part of the family here at Immunotech Research, because they're all here. All of the great mentors that I mentioned are still here, helping us all build this great business together. And we don't need to say anything about what this product does. We just know, just experience it, because the results and your experience will absolutely sink you in long term. So thank you very much, John.
Well,
and
Doug,
have any questions you want to throw at me?
Well, I just want to thank you for one thing. And we do have one other speaker, but you mentioned our friend Foster Owusu, and I didn't know how to fit this in today, but the reason Foster's not with us, he is listening to the call, by the way, he is on here, but he's actually in bed. He and his son Emmanuel last night had a very bad collision with another car. Fortunately, all the people in the other car, as well as Foster and his son, are okay, but pretty shaken up, needless to say. So he is home convalescing in bed. So keep him and his son Emmanuel and the other, I think it was a teenage couple in the other car that were in the collision. But everybody's okay. That's the good news. But I'm sure everybody's a little shaken up and a little sore today. So keep them all in your thoughts and prayers. And hey, Doug, thank you so much. And now moving on to our last speaker before we're going to wrap up. I can't believe another Zoom-Tacular is going to be in the rearview mirror here in a few minutes, but I don't want you to miss this lady. She's got a remarkable story. Been in the nursing field for over 3 decades, and as once again, a tremendous experience with Immunical, and that is our good friend from beautiful Saskatchewan, Canada, Patricia Karalash. Patricia, welcome to the call.
Hello, welcome. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, good. Okay, that's kind of like a a cell phone commercial. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad that you are here. And just like some of our, actually all of our speakers, I just feel so good for what Immunical has done for me. And I feel so good of how I can offer it to others and how they might be able to feel. So this is my story. I've been using Immunical for 6 years now. A year and a half before that, I couldn't breathe. And I mean, my lung capacity by 2 specialists who measured my breathing was only 45%. So I was breathing with less than half a lung on both sides. Not good. So going from the wide open spaces and being able to run and walk all over the place and lift things and work with animals and work with lots in the dirt, I couldn't walk across my living room floor, my bedroom floor. I couldn't walk from one room to the other. And I certainly couldn't walk outside out to the driveway or walk my animals or anything like that. And I did the medical part. So I was on 2 inhalers and prednisone. I quickly came off the prednisone, didn't like the effects of those. And then I did all the alternative health stuff that I knew about, and I knew about lots, and it didn't help. Then my one girlfriend told me about this stuff that she had used, and it was working for her. So I trusted her, and I said, okay, I don't care what it is, just get it to me. And it came from my own country, Canada, from Quebec. So it came fast, and fast for me was a week. And in 10 days, I couldn't believe it. I could breathe again. I could walk again. Now I had tested, I did a scratch test with an allergy specialist for 103 different things. I was allergic to over 90 of them. So that meant everything that I lived with. Oh, grasses, flowers, cats, dogs, horses, trees, everything. I mean, 90 plus some was a lot. So I did not want to give that up. So in the 10 days, talk about resiliency that Nancie and John talked about, I went back to having the energy of a 16-year-old, 1-6. And I would not have believed it if anybody had said that, oh, and by the way, you're going to get the energy of when you were younger. Yeah, sure, whatever. But I got that in 10 days. In a month and a half, I was off of my inhalers and I could run. The takeaway that you can take away from my story is run. I hadn't ran since I was a teenager. And to get that back again, it was unbelievable, but it was there for me. I was just over the moon, and I'm an introvert. So I, don't talk and rah and do much spreading the word, but it spread the word for itself. People, my neighbors, and I live in the wide open spaces, and would see me walking down the road with my critters. And they're like, oh, haven't seen you for a while. What happened and why are you back? So, of course, I had to tell them my story. And so there it goes. It doesn't matter even if wasn't on, say, the internet, which I am now, and talking to people, just what my appearance was, and that I showed up for stuff, whereas before it was too painful to walk across the room to get something to eat, to go to sleep at night. It was horrible, and that changed my whole life to a life I couldn't have known. So then I let my sister-in-law know, and I let this person know and that person know, and then I got a letter in the mail from Immunotech. Oh, what's this? So open it up, and then I see numbers. Oh, $32 and I think 8 cents, something like that. I thought, well, why do they need more money from me? Like, I don't get it. So I got on my phone really quick. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm on hold. Ooh, I'm even more upset because I'm like, why didn't they take this off of my credit card? And why? Oh, and I'm on hold. I just want to fix this fast. So while I'm waiting, I take a closer look at this letter. And I realize they sent me a check. I go, what? Oh, did I overpay on the credit card? Like, what? And it's no. And I'm reading more details, and it's because people have ordered and registered under me, enrolled under me, and it's helped them. I couldn't believe it. Again, something else that was hard to believe, and I had to adjust to that again. That good thing again was I get paid for helping people. It was all so new. It was all so wonderful. And 6 years later, here I am continuing to do that and preparing to go big time on internet. So that's my story, John. Back to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Patricia. And thank you everybody else who spoke today, everybody else who was here today. The new video, as we said earlier, make sure you check it out. Okay. It's 17 minutes long. But there's a lot of content, and I know we're going to be, chopping and splicing and all kinds of stuff here in the weeks to come. It is available on the app. Okay. I just checked. Okay. During the course of the call. So it is on the app. So, great. Hey, I'm just going to turn it to Keith to say au revoir.
Well, before we do that, John, I want to remind everybody, there's a lot of things that you heard today. And what the thing that separates Immunotech from everything else is our science. You're going to hear people tell stories, but no one has what we have. Now, this is a PDF. It's located in your back office. You go to resources and go to publications and go into science. It's way down to find it, but this is what the cover looks like, and it's a PDF. Make sure that you pull that up and that you have it and understand it, because this is what separates us. Dr. Bunos had a great thing that he said, John, way back when, and John Molson is still there. Maybe John will just chime in on this for a second. But I've got the recording of Dr. Bunos where he says, what you have to have is peer-reviewed, published clinical research. Otherwise, it's just an opinion. Now, what separates Immunotech from every other opportunity that you're going to see is the science on Immunocal, not some ingredient in Immunocal, but Immunocal. There's a lot of people make a lot of silly claims about a lot of stuff, okay, but they don't have any research on their product. That's what separates us, is the research done on Immunocal. That's what makes us different, and that's what is a great opportunity that we have here. Sandi was saying at the beginning, the fact that the animals live longer, and that research that she looked at, that's what my wife Sandra and I looked at. The animals live longer. So once again, avail yourself of everything that we have here. Avail yourself of the new video. Everyone should have gotten an email link to the new video. Take that 17 minutes and use that to share what we have here. We have a product that's a gift from God, and we've been entrusted with the mission from Dr. Bunos, and Dr. Conkshaven and John Molson and, you know, Chuck Roberts and Dieter Beer, and now with Mauricio, to carry on this mission of what we have here at Immunical. It makes people's lives better, but it can only help them if they know about it. And that's our job. So with that, we want to thank all of you for being here on this Saturday on this Zoom. And this will be up on XYZ Tools by Monday. It'll be under Zooms and more, and you can revisit it. So thank you all that. I know we have somebody here that wants to say something. They raised their hand, LeBron. I think there, if maybe, or if you have, okay, you don't want to say anything. All right, well, hey,
the clap reaction.
All right, so I hope everybody enjoyed. I know I did. I know we appreciate Dr. Salini and John Molson and what they shared with. Here's the most important thing. Okay, that I help people solve problems and health and financial problems they can't fix. That's what you guys do. And what I love about Immunical, and this is the thing that we talk about, if you're going to ride a bicycle, you want to take Immunical, because that way you have bone strength. That way you bounce instead of break. Okay, Nancie went away. She's hiding out.
Well, Nancie, John, and Julie, boy, they're all people who spend a lot of time on bicycles. So.
Yeah, so if you're going to ride a bicycle, because bone strength is just as important as bone density, because you want to bounce, not break. So with that, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate all of you. You are what makes our lives better, each and every one of you. Have a great day, everybody.
Cal, it's to provide the precursors so every cell of your body can make glutathione.
Yep.